There's a chance for questions at the end, but if I say something you violently disagree with, please shout. Always worth looking at, where did we start from? So I look around here, most of you will have had the joy of sitting in front of a monitor, not a TFT, and you notice it's got one application on it, it's got post-its, and the really funny thing is this thing here, the guy's using a landline, right? Fujitsu, almost nobody uses a landline anymore. You know, we all use mobile phones. And this is sort of where we've ended up. Obviously, it's just photographed in the summer, nice bright sunny day, but you see we now have a tablet, a smartphone, and clearly working, so he's connected. And that's the biggest change in the last 10 years, the proliferation of mobile computing and the expectation that I do it when I want to, where I want to, and I am connected. Okay? And what's happened as well is people have ended up with multiple devices. So you have your desktop maybe, or you have your notebook, but then I have to have a tablet. Oh, and by the way, I have a smartphone as well. And if you're in IT, you know that the cost per device of managing it is significant. So there's a huge proliferation of devices out there. So the big trends of today are users are more demanding, their expectations are higher, and that comes from the fact the equipment they use at home is typically sexier, more up to date than that which the businesses provide. So those of you still on XP, there's a good chance some of your users will be on Windows 8 because that's what you buy at Curry's or PC World or Misco or wherever. So their questions are, why have I got this yet I can use this? And there's a lack of understanding. And the other big challenge, and maybe it's the wave's gone a bit, but was the CIOs and the CTOs and the CEOs saying, why aren't we using iPads? We should be using iPads. And you start putting iPads out there or tablets, and there's no real justification behind it because you can't say no to those people. And then the people beneath say, I want some of those as well. And suddenly you've got this lack of control, and people will buy them with not necessarily a real value from them. So we see that happening a lot. And what we also see is you go give a guy one of these, right? This is a notebook, you remember, this is a Fujitsu one. We were really proud of this 5 years ago. And we've got lots of users who bought these still using them today because they're really well built and they run well. But the user says, nah, I don't want that. That's not what I want. Give me one of these shiny ones, that's what I want. Yeah? So we get the big green, happy smiley face. We're seeing that happening more and more. And when I talk about my case study in a minute, I'll explain how you can address that. And this is one of the reasons that BYOD, bring your own device, had some momentum, and there are some companies that are doing that. I think there are some solutions here for it. But bring your own device brings many challenges with it. Firstly, your IT has got to support an even broader range of devices, because when it goes wrong, it's always the business software that's caused it, not what they've done. And suddenly you've got a bunch of Macintoshes iMacs to look after as well, when you may have no knowledge of that within your IT department. So it brings many challenges with it. Second thing I've talked about already, huge growth in these, right? Proliferating all over the place, often with little control. And of course, as I said, that gives you more and more headaches. The biggest challenge, though, is security. So if you read this, some of these are a little bit old, some of them are really up to date. So Nationwide lost a notebook and were fined almost £1 million back in 7 years ago. A UK insurer got fined 2.3 million for losing it. And it's not the fact you've lost data, because that's hugely significant. It's what it says about your business in the marketplace, and it's what it says about your organisation, your IT department within your business. Even though many of these are nothing to do with IT. This is users being dumb and stupid. This is interesting. 180,000 lost or stolen phones and tablets over the last 12 months, reported to the police. And this was in May this year. 180,000, 15,000 a month. And those are the ones that are reported. How many weren't reported? So the biggest challenge I say we have is security. You lose something, data's out there, it's a really, really big problem. So we see lots of work and lots of attention around security at the moment. And 3 very simple things: secure the device, stop it being stolen. It's easier said than done, but that's the first thing to aim for. Second thing is, if the device is stolen, let's encrypt the data on it or make the data inaccessible, so at least your corporate data is not going to somebody else. And the third part is, how can you stop people using that device to get access into your systems? Okay, because that's another way of a big problem. And strangely, there are people out there who will do that for fun. They'll look to get inside your IT, and it's a bit of a personal challenge. They may have nothing against you and your business, but it's a personal challenge, and they like to go attack people. That's what motivates them. So if we're looking at that, the other thing you should do, always worth doing, review your entire IT system from a security perspective. You know, make sure you're protected, because even the biggest businesses get hit. I was going to ask if anybody here has been hit, but I won't. That's not fair. So Twitter got hit. Twitter was taken out. I mean, this is still 4 years ago, but a company of that size and that scope was taken out. Earlier this year, this is a Marussia Formula 1 car, okay? These are so technical, it's not true. They got hit by a Trojan horse virus, and they couldn't run the car. Yeah? It took them over a day to actually recover so that they could fire the car up and start running it. Right? Professional business, very high-tech business, there's a real risk here. So basic things you can do, and this is not a security course, you know, I'll skip over these, but some basic things. User training. Right? Everyone in Fujitsu has a notebook. We don't give users basic training on how to look after their book. All right? Nobody says, don't leave it on the desk while you walk away somewhere. Nobody says to you, always log out before you walk away from it, even in our own office. Nobody particularly teaches us about secure passwords. You know, you can have a password of 5 characters, really easy to break. You can have one of 8, which is very difficult to break. We don't do that. That's really basic stuff, and there's lots of online resources that you can leverage to do something really simple around that. Encrypt your data. You know, it's a standard feature in Windows 8.1 now. It's there. Use it, because then, as long as the user hasn't stuck the password on the notebook, which is point 1 above, then the data's not accessible by somebody who does get hold of your stuff. Maybe you look at removing data from the system. So you could do VDI, virtual device infrastructure. So instead of running everything on the device, you're connecting to a server in the back end, and then the device has no data on it. All right? You still need to make sure you've got your passwords and everything secure, but there's no data on that device. Or cloud-based systems. That's another way of taking data off the device. So the device has much less value for people, and your business is more protected. The session after mine at 12:30 is about cloud, so come along and listen to that. Better access security. So 1 password's fine, 2-level authentication is much, much better. Fujitsu have developed a thing called Palm Vein. We call it Palm Secure, and basically it's a reader, you put your hand over it, and it says, yes, I know who you are. It is 10,000 times stronger than fingerprint. 10,000 times stronger. 10 times stronger than scanning your iris, right? Incredibly secure and really simple, because you've got nothing to lose. Just put your hand on it, lets you in and go. Some of our high-end notebooks now have it because the cost is coming down. You can buy it as USB-attached devices. There's a chain of fitness clubs that use it, so you don't have a membership card, put your hand on. Because then you can't share the membership card with somebody else, but you can't lose it if you're a user as well. You can do mobile device management, so there's many solutions for that. I think there's 1 or 2 here today. And that gives you the ability to manage the device, and if you do lose the device, the next time it logs on, you can clean all the data off it automatically. And maybe you can tell where it is and that sort of stuff. But these are quite sophisticated things to install. Basic things can make a big difference. And as I said earlier, don't just look at that. If you're going to look at this, look at your whole installation, because there are things that you can stop people doing, either from externally or even from internally within the organisation, and increase your security. Not allowed to pitch, but Fujitsu have a full-blown security practice. We have 220 professionals. This is the sort of thing we can do with you supporting Misco. So it's relatively easy to get that service to come along and do that sort of review and increase your security. Let's look at a case study. So remember I said at the start, users are more demanding. You can't go give them a 3-year-old notebook and say, there you are, be happy. It's great, it does what we need it to do. They want to be proud of their device and feel like they're part of the decision making. So choose your own device is one way of doing that. And we have a large customer, it's a very large engineering business, and there was a project we've done with them to migrate from Windows XP to Windows 7. I'd like to tell you we did it 2 years ago, we're just finishing it. So a little bit late, but we're getting there. And they needed to firstly get current, get off Windows XP. Secondly, they needed to raise their user satisfaction, right? They had a real drive to make users feel happier and more fulfilled by the IT they were giving them. And thirdly, they wanted to reduce operational costs. You know, this means standardization, which often is in direct contrast with user satisfaction. So what we did is we've sold them an Ultrabook-like notebook. So Ultrabooks carry a price premium and have some functionality restrictions, but they're lovely devices to have. So here's a range of devices, a 13, a 14, a 15.6. So the user can say, I'd like a small one because I'm going to be traveling around, I don't want to carry. Somebody else might say, I want a big one because I want the big screen space. Right? So there's the emotional of, I can choose what I want. From the IT perspective, it's one system across everything. Fully binary compatible, so you're maintaining one platform only. To increase the concept of the user taking care of it as if it's his own, they're doing a 3-year lease on these, and the agreement is at the end of 3 years, the user can buy his device. Goes through a clean-up as they get their replacement, goes back into IT, they clean it and give it back to him in exchange for 50 quid. So you tell them that at the start. It's like the company car. Oh, you can buy the company car at the end. You look after it a little bit better. It's exactly the same thing. People will cherish it. It's what they've chosen. They know it can be theirs in 3 years. And that means you reduce the number of impacts to your business because they take care. You know, if you look after your notebook, it runs longer than if you don't. You don't drop it. You know, you're just thinking of, this is going to be mine. So it's a very effective. Reduce cost, enhance security, so they've got one image that works with everything. They've encrypted the data on it as standard, so they've got protection against theft. And these users really are proper mobile users. And they have a standard workplace, so they have, in their office, they've got hot desks, you have a keyboard, you have a dock, and it connects to a display, keyboard and mouse, and all of these devices work on the same dock. Some of the users use our mobile workstation, a professional workstation with an embedded graphics card, uses the same dock. Our next generation will use the same dock. So you can go in anywhere, sit down, plug your notebook in, start working. Yeah, gives them a great deal of flexibility. And this is our E700. Go and have a look at it after the show. It's really an attractive piece of kit and meets that. So when you're looking at mobility, if you're in the situation where you've done it, but actually you need to think about what you're going to do next, because with the proliferation of new devices, new applications, new usage. So there are 4 key things we suggest that you should do. It's all about user profiling. So who's going to be mobile? Where are they going to be mobile? Right? Are they mobile within your core office? Are they mobile as in I want to access data from home, systems from home? Or are they truly mobile, out seeing customers, needing to work when they're on the road? Because those are 3 very different scenarios. What type of device? Are they going to do a lot of keyboard work? You need a proper keyboard. Right? You can't type a lot on a tablet efficiently. It just doesn't work. Maybe a hybrid. So I want a tablet some of the time, but some of the time I need to do proper keyboard work. So now you can have a device with a proper keyboard attached, clipped together. So it's like a notebook, but you can take it away as a tablet if you wish. Maybe a phone would do it. Right? Some applications, a phone will do most of it. I talked to a customer yesterday and he was saying it's actually in an airport and a phone does 95% of what they need to do. When they need to do a little bit more, they're not desks, they have hot work areas where they go stand up, they plug their phone into a dock which connects to a screen and has a keyboard, and then when they've got to do that bit of typing, they just stand there and do the typing, take it away and go. So it's about picking the device that meets the user's requirements, user profiling. Think about how you're going to secure it, right? Absolutely fundamental. And what applications? How do you choose what device? Should it be an iPad? Should it be a Windows? Should it be Android? Applications are a big indicator of what works. Choices you need to make. I picked these off at random, but one of the good things is Windows tablets, Windows phones. If your applications are Windows, it sorts to become self-fulfilling. You've got one platform, things can run on everything, and with the latest Windows 10, which will be here next year, that consistency becomes even more. So that's my background. Now, if we look a bit further ahead at what we see coming from the customers we talk to, work is not where you go, right? Just think about that. So I need work, but I only go to my office one day a week. And to be honest, that's not necessarily from choice, because it's a pain to go there, but you have to go. But I need to be able to work from my home. I need to be able to work from here. I was in the factory yesterday, I need to be able to work from there. So the concept of I have a workplace is different. I have a need to work, and I need tools to let me work. So that's a big change for many people. And it's the people that will be the driver, not the devices, which is why you need to profile what you need. So you need to be able to say to somebody, you're on the road a lot, you need access to information, and you need to do a little bit of data entry, and that's it. A tablet's really good for you. Right? You're on the road a lot, you need to do lots of reporting after you've seen the customer, writing up reports, you need a notebook because of the keyboard and creating information. So that's another thought process. We have the ability now to take these choices because of the proliferation of devices. But try and have one major device per user. You don't want a user with 3 devices. That costs money. It costs money to buy them, it costs money to keep them going, it costs money to replace them. So one device, that's a really good rule to have. Even as a hardware vendor, I'm telling you, one device is a good rule to have. Self-service support. There's a whole new generation coming into the workplace. If you've got a problem on your PlayStation, you don't call Sony, you go online and start looking for information. And this new generation do that. There's a mobile phone service called giffgaff, if you know of that. And there's no help desk, you go online and people help sort you out. And this will happen in IT. This will absolutely happen in IT. And that'll change the way your IT departments are structured and the services you need to provide. You'll start to see app stores, right? We sort of have one where we can go to a portal and say, I want that application, but like you have on Android and you have on Apple, that'll come to Windows as well, and that'll be where you go to get your applications. And again, that'll change the way IT works. So you won't go and say to IT, I need this application. You'll go to an app store and download it if you have the right privileges. Security is going to continue, right? No matter what you do, security is always an issue. Never lose sight of security. And then the final one is interesting. As we take IT closer to customers, your applications need to evolve into that. And again, if you look at what's happened in Android and in the Apple market in particular, there's myriad of little applications. We're going to start to see those coming round for business apps, tying into your existing applications. So you can have something specific for when you're sat in front of the customer. And those will be through your app store, and they'll be knocked up by maybe the IT department, but it won't be a big development. It'll be, this will be really useful. Here's a tool set, bang, 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 there it is, go. Right, much shorter, much more defined functionality, much shorter development times, and targeted users responding to user requests. So those are the things we see coming down line, and some of those are quite big changes. If we stood here in 5 years and said, what's the profile of your IT department, it might be quite different. It will absolutely be different based on the devices people have, but what you're doing should change and evolve over that time. So my summary, for most companies, I'd say pretty well every company, I struggle to think of one where you don't need mobile computing. Deliver it for those staff who need it, and that's something that maybe we've sort of let slip. Oh, a notebook standard. Does it really need to be standard? Yeah. And bear in mind the security side of that. Select the right device. One size does not fit all. People do jobs. You need a device appropriate to what they're doing on a day-by-day basis. Consider your applications. Try to standardize on one platform. It's really logical, but I don't know whether we've actually thought that through. If I've got to go out to my customer and I need to have access to my IT systems, I should really run on a platform that my IT systems run on. And security, have a plan, review your current status, educate your staff, and check it again at a period of time. I meant to check before I came on this morning, I didn't, but I suspect that's going to become a company audit checkpoint before too long, IT security. Yeah. I worked for a NASDAQ company in the past, and I know that that was one of the things we had to go through each audit of, this is how our IT is put together, this is how we secure it, and things like that. So something we all need to be very aware of, because there are some people out there who, for some reason, get fun out of messing people's businesses up. So that's what I wanted to cover. Say fairly high level, this is what we see today, this is where it's going tomorrow. There are lots of things you can do. There are some simple things that can make things better and more structured, but get a plan. That's my big message, get a plan and take care. So I hope that was useful. Do you have any questions? There's a session in an hour which is all about cloud. So it's not Fujitsu doing it, it's somebody else, but please come along and listen to that, because cloud is quite interesting. It's very accessible for people and it can fix a lot of issues. So do come along to that. But otherwise, thank you very much for your time. Hope that was useful.